And then I'm going to share screen, and then I'm going to open doors, and we should still be on target to start at like 2:01, 2:02-ish. Okay. Putting my music here.
Hello, everybody.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for our Food Budget Challenge kickoff call and support of Poverty Awareness Month. My name is Andrea Hardman, and I am the Target 2 Global Impact Chairman for Chi Omega Omega. And once again, I welcome you for taking on this challenge and this experiment on behalf of Poverty Awareness Month. Before we get started, we just have a few special guests that want to give you warm greetings and welcome on this chilly Sunday morning. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to shovel their snow and thaw off and is ready to tackle the week going forward. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Cassandra Watlington, who is the Vice President of Lambda Mu Omega. Take it away, Cassandra.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for taking taking time out of your busy Sunday to spend some time with us, learn about a food budget challenge. I don't know if everybody looked at looked at the flyer that came out for the invitation. Our flyer actually says that we will do this for 1 whole week. I don't know about anybody else, but me staying on budget for like 2 days is like a good win for me. However, for 1 week, I'm willing to try, because we're going to try to see what we can do to try to tackle poverty, to see exactly where we stand and how we can actually work to stay within a budget, and then to try to find out, I guess, finding healthy choices for us to do our food and stuff with. So with that all being said, I want to thank you all again for coming out. Welcome, and have a wonderful, wonderful seminar. And I want to now introduce my friend, who is the president of Chi Omega Omega chapter, Brandy Garris.
Thank you so much. Welcome to all of our guests and attendees today. Again, my name is Brandy Garris, and I am the president of the Imani Pearls Community Development Foundation, as well as Chi Omega Omega chapter. As you may or may not know, low-income zip codes have over 30% more convenience stores than middle-income zip codes, which means less healthy food options. 8% of African Americans live in an area with a supermarket, as opposed to 31% of whites. 690 million people throughout the world are living below the poverty rate. And that's why it's so important that this food budget challenge occur, and that today's kickoff is extremely, extremely timely. I personally want to thank Lambda Mu Omega and all of their participants, as well as Chi Omega Omega chapter and their participants that have both hosted and are participating this week as we rise to the challenge of bringing acknowledgement to Poverty Awareness Month. So we are change agents, and we know it's our sworn duty to help change the world. And this is just one small way in which we will do that. So sit back and enjoy this program, and then get ready to challenge yourself to be on budget and to eat healthy while you're on budget. So I will now turn the floor back over to, I believe, the wonderful Zandria Hartman.
Thank you, Madam Madam President. And I'm actually going to kick this off to my co-chair, it is Sunday, Latoya Buchanan, who is my co-chair for Target 5 Global Impact. Sora Latoya, Member Latoya, take it away.
Hi, can everybody hear me? Okay, very good. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to present some information to illustrate what living at the poverty level really means. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, 5.3% of the population, or 17.3 million people, live in deep poverty with incomes below 50% of the poverty thresholds. Poverty thresholds are determined by the United States government and vary according to the size of the family and the ages of its members. So in 2018, the poverty threshold, also known as the poverty line, for an individual was $12,784. So for two people, the weighted average threshold was $16,247. This includes people working at minimum wage and even holding down multiple jobs. You can see the remaining thresholds listed on the screen. Okay, now let's look at the breakdown by race. According to the 2019 United States Census data, the highest poverty rate by race is found among Blacks at 26.1%, with the Native Americans having the highest poverty rate at 16.4%. Hispanics of any race having the third highest poverty rate at 16.1%. Asians had a poverty rate at 10.8%, while whites had a poverty rate of 9.4%. Going even deeper, we can look at numbers a little closer to home. In Illinois, for the year 2019, the population was 12,474,842, and there were 12.5% of the population living in poverty. In Cook County, for the same time period, the population was 5,112,701, and 14.4% of the county residents lived in poverty. So while you think about those numbers, let's understand the median income in Illinois was only $34,952, for an individual and only $65,886 for a household. We encourage you to visit povertyusa.org for additional details and conduct further research on poverty in America. Now that you have a better understanding of poverty thresholds, let's dive into our food budget challenge to support Poverty Awareness Month. Tossing it back to you, Zandria.
Thank you, Member Latoya. So I just want you guys to think about that before we get into these numbers. So for a family of four people, this is gross income, $25,701. And for many of you, this was our salary maybe when we were just out of college or just in college. So think about how many years ago that was, and that is before taxes. So of course, once you take out taxes, this number will decrease dramatically depending on your withholdings for health insurance, if you are able to afford that. So just once again, keep that in the back of your mind. And Illinois only this year, as of January 1, raised the minimum wage to $12 an hour. So we'll let you do the calculations on that. And I think it comes under, I believe it's under the 25,000, I believe it is, at $12 an hour. So now we're going to get into this budget. And so this is where I need everybody to pull out their pen and paper. We're going to do some simple calculations and give you your budget for the week. So based on, this is the information from the USDA, and this is based on how they determine what a family needs at a minimum in order to survive, well, not survive, but to feed themselves for a week. And so we're actually going to use the moderate cost plan. I thought it would be a little too stretching for us to use the low cost plan. And then I don't want you guys to feel, like, oh, this was easy and use the liberal plan. So we're going to use the moderate cost plan to determine your budget. And the USDA calculates a family of four. They use a child between the 6 and 8 years and a child between 9 and 11. So these are the numbers that we are using for children. And then for males and females, we're using the age range from 19 to 50 for both males and females. So if you're a single female, your budget for the week, and this is tomorrow, Monday through Saturday, your budget will be $65. If you're a male, they assume that you eat a little bit more, so that your budget will be $76.50. Now, if you're a family of four, you're going to take all four of those numbers and add those together, and that will give you your total. So for a family of four, meaning 2 adults and 2 children, your total will be $269.60. Now, many of you may be looking at the family of four and like, oh, that's a lot of money, but let's break it down. So Monday through Saturday is only 6 days. So if you divide $269.60 by 6 days, I think that's roughly about 45, or what did it come out to? I'm sorry, I didn't have the calculations in front of me. We're going to do this math really quick, guys, and divide that by 6. That is $44.93 a day for a family of four. So that means for 4 people, you get $44 a day. Now, if you divide that into 3 meals, that may be $10 a meal for all 4 people. So as you divide it up throughout the week, it's really not a lot of money. So this is where the challenge will come in. You're going to have to plan your budget. You're going to actually have to think about what it is that I really need and what it is that I really have to have throughout this week. And for most of us, we are fortunate enough to be able to walk down a grocery store aisle and not even look at a price, unless we're looking for something on sale. We just grab things and throw it in our cart. We kind of loosely add it up, our total in our head. When we get to the cash register, it's really no big deal, no sticker shock, and we pay what the cashier tells us to pay. This will cause us now to be a little more conscious and intentional on what we spend per week or for this week on our groceries, so that you have a little bit more of an understanding of what those that are living in poverty, what they face on a daily basis, the stresses that can come from not only what am I going to eat, how am I going to eat it, can I even afford to eat what it is that I need, and do I even have enough of these items in my home to feed myself? So on the next slide, we're just going to cover, so we're going to plan this out, right? So what does that cover? Once again, it covers all of your meals. That means breakfast, lunch, dinner, any of those snacks when you run to CVS or you run down to the snack shop if you work in a building, all of your coffee breaks, if you're dining out, like I don't want to cook, I'm going to run and pick something up. And even those treats, even if you grab a candy bar or if you want to treat yourself to a brownie or a specialty shake or any of those things, that will be included in this week's budget. And that includes, once again, when you're shopping, all of your groceries, your proteins, your veggies, your pastries, even your frozen foods. So you may feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a little daunting for me. We're going to give you a little bit of help. So any food that you currently have in your house as of today, right now, 2:14 p.m., you can use that food towards this challenge. So if you've got some proteins in your freezer, some ground beef, some chicken, some turkey, you can use that when you're planning your budget for the week. So we don't want you to feel that you have to buy all new food. You can use all of the foods that you have in your house, which will aid you in making your plan and helping you stick to this budget. Now, since you have your total, and I'll just go back to that screen one more time so people can have this information. When you're making your budget, we recommend that you use cash and put it in an envelope. And if you want to write on front of the envelope what the total is for the week that you have to spend, do that as well. And so every time you're at the grocery store or you're buying food, whatever it is for these next 6 days, take the cash out of that envelope and put the receipt back in that envelope. So at the end of the week, if you have no cash left, you'll have your receipts and you'll be able to tally what you spent for the week. And the same as if you do have any cash left, you can still do that tally and see what you had left over. So just as a reminder, please use cash, because once you use a debit card or you do online shopping, you really don't make that connection between what is actually going through my hands and making it real. So when you actually have to hand someone over some money and you look in that envelope and you've just handed them $30 and you may only have 40 left, then that kind of makes it a little bit more realistic and it makes the connection between the two as far as the budget and what you have to spend. So now I'm going to turn it over to my subcommittee chairman, Sharice Burns, who's going to introduce our presenter today to give you some tips and tricks and some additional information to help you to make you successful during this week. So Sharice, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sandria. Well, I have the privilege of introducing our guest speaker today. She is Robin Garcia, who is a lifelong resident of the Chicago area, and she is a cheerleader for anyone who is seeking out a healthy lifestyle. After attending Chicago Vocational High School with an emphasis in computer maintenance, Robin continued her education at Eastern Illinois University and majored in hotel restaurant management. Robin has now spent over 35 years working in the food service industry at places such as Wendy's, McDonald's, Chicago Public Schools, Grant Hospital, and is currently the food service director with Quest Food Management. Robin is certified in menu development, food ordering, marketing and merchandising, and food sanitation. Robin has taken the next step in her education and recently enrolled in classes to become a nutritionist. She plans to assist people nutritionally while continuing to promote healthy lifestyles. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Lambda Mu Omega chapter, and is the Health and Wellness Chair. She prides herself on stellar communication and customer service. Robin is full of energy and is very excited to be speaking today. Take it away, Robin.
Thank you so much. Yes, I am. So I hope you all are ready. I want to give a little bit of a housekeeping note. I'm actually going to ask, some feedback via your thumbs because I know we're all on mute. So please work with me as I cascade some information to you all today. Is that okay? Let's do a practice. Let me see a thumb. All right, I know what's going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do just for a short time is take us back to the basics. I know probably most of you have heard of My Plate that was introduced some years ago. And so I just want to take us back to some very, basic items in terms of food. Next slide, please. So as the My Plate icon will show here in another moment or so, is the 5 food groups. And those 5 food groups consist of fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy, in case you did not remember this and actually practice this every day in my own consumption. The dietary guidelines for the Americans emphasize the importance of an overall healthy eating pattern with all 5 groups as a key building block plus oils. Did you all know you can have some oils in your diet? I know I do. I love them. I have that little bit of oil. I love French fries. Okay, so anyhow, each food group includes a variety of foods and that they are similar in nutritional makeup, and each group plays an important role in an overall healthy eating pattern. Some of the food groups are broken down further into subgroups to emphasize foods that are particularly good sources of certain vitamins and minerals. For example, the subgroups within the grains group encourage whole grains, which provide more fiber, magnesium, and zinc than refined grains. And by the way, zinc and a couple of other items help with your immunity, in case you didn't know. So next slide, please. All right, so what does that look like when we say 5 food groups? Well, if you look at your fruit category, things such as oranges and peaches and bananas. I love watermelon. I love it to death. I'm almost buying it every day because I eat it just that much. Strawberries, and then your vegetable, dark green, your spinach, collard greens, kale. I love kale. I use kale in a lot of foods that I prepare personally. Beans, whole grains, starchy vegetables. And then your grains would be whole grains, refined grains, proteins, including seafood, poultry, eggs, nuts. And then in your dairy also consists of your milk, your yogurt, and your cheese. All right, next slide, please. All right, so my plate. So you all probably thinking my plate. Okay, this is a breakdown to what from the USDA is speaking to, that in terms of the portion you should have based off of a 2,000 calorie a day diet, 2 cups of fruits, 2.5 cups of vegetables. And if you're nearby your kitchen area, if you want to grab a cup so you can visually look at what a cup looks like, helps you with when you start to make your plate and portion wise, what that will look like: 6 ounces of grains, 5.5 ounces of protein, and 3 cups of dairy. So what I do personally to manage the portion that I prepare for me on a daily basis, I use small plates. So, you know, you have your basic 8-9 inch plate that you use for your meals. I use a small plate, which helps me to not over portion in terms of those category of foods that's going to be helpful for me throughout my daily eating. Okay, next slide, please. So one of the other things that I incorporated probably almost 10 years ago was looking at labels. So it was spoken of, you know, we're talking about watching our dollars and those kinds of things in terms of our spending with food. You also want to kind of look at the label for your nutrition component of it, because of course we don't want to buy all of the high calorie, high fat, hot everything is part of your meal, because now you're spending money towards increase of weight, and that's not what we want, right? So in our next slide, we will be speaking to more specifically to what those different items look like from the label. Next slide, please. All right, so here's a recommended daily allowance. So our healthy oils, as you can see from the chart here, it's a little bit there. It's not even really as a part of the circle because we only need a little bit of oils. But for like your vegetables, having a variety of those. I love vegetables. And by the way, I didn't say this on the top end, but I'm a vegetarian. I have been a vegetarian since the year of 2008. I enjoy being a vegetarian. The healthy eating gives me more energy, more drive. And as you all can see, yeah, I'm a little robust. Eating plenty of fruits, as you can see, as part of our visual here, along with the whole grains and our healthy protein. And one element, if you can see towards the left lower part of this visual, is to stay active. So you can eat well, but you still got to do a little bit of movement. And walking, you all, it is not hard. It can help your lungs. It's a very good exercise. Next slide, please. All right, you all ready to go shopping? Can I get a thumb? Yes, no? If you're not. Okay, so what I did is I had just picked like breakfast items that, and you know what? I think we might have missed a slide. We skipped our actual visual for nutrition facts. Okay, figured that we missed a slide. So anyhow, let's go to, I did a comparison of Meijer, Jewel, and Aldi. So I took Bananas. So this point of this Let's Go Shopping part is to share, to do your homework. So before you go out to the store, you probably have stores that you frequent. And typically I know that Aldi's is probably in a lot of areas. Meijer's in some, and Jewel I think is a lot of areas. So that's why I selected those three. And so for bananas, when I did a comparison between Meijer, Jewel, and Aldi's, and Meijer's, it was 59 cents a pound, Jewel was 69 cents a pound, and Aldi's was 55 cents a pound. There's no brainer right there, okay? So I also did a reduced milk. We reduced fat milk. Meijer had $3.49 for a gallon. Jewel was $4.09. Aldi's was $2.85. I also looked at cereal. Cereal at Meijer is $4.39. Jewel was $6.09. Goodness gracious. And Aldi's is at $3.95. So just kind of give us some comparison. I usually do my homework before I go out. I also have on my phone an app from Meijer, so I can kind of do some shopping to some things that may be on sale. So before I go that direction, I know already what I'm going to purchase when I get into the store. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so some of us may be thinking about, well, I want to kind of follow a diet plan, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to take you through for just a snippet of the intermediate fasting, plant-based meal, low carb, the paleo, and the low fat meal plan. Next slide, please. So the intermediate fasting or plan is the eating pattern that cycles between periods of fasting and eating. So it's a certain timeline during the course of the day that you would eat, and then you don't eat any other time of the day. It also can be tied into keto. I'm sure you all have heard keto, where that is kind of like a high fat, very low carb way of eating, but you can also integrate that part in along with your intermittent fasting. Plant-based meal, it emphasizes fruits, vegetables, beans, and limited foods like meat and dairy and eggs as a part of this plan. That's more kind of a vegan, vegetarian kind of a plan if you're interested. Low carb is focused on proteins and some non-starchy vegetables. It limits grains, legumes, fruits, breads, sweets, and pasta. The paleo diet. So that includes lean meats, fish, fruit, vegetable, nuts, and seeds. And then your low fat one meal includes dried beans and peas, tofu, low fat, just low fat stuff from yogurt, skim milk, etc. Okay. So let's see. Next slide, please. So before we go on to some personal dishes that I have made, just wanted to do a really quick snapshot for when you're looking at your labels in the store. Your fat should be between 20 to 35% of your calories. So it could be between 44 to 77 grams. There we go. Yay! Oh. Perfect. So here is the nutrition fact label, right? So the very first thing you look at is your serving size. Very important. I am a snacker. I love some chips. I love some Flamin' Hot, to believe it or not. And so what helps with when you're trying to monitor your calories for the day, you have to look at what that portion size is. Now, there are like 4 to 5 different portions in the bag. That doesn't mean you eat the whole bag, because now you've tapped into your calories, right? So on this here, so the fat is 20 to 35%. Sodium is less than 2,300 milligrams a day. And again, this is based off of a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Now, if there are any health issues that you may be experiencing that may vary just depending upon, but this is a baseline of 2,000 calories. Carbohydrates, 900 to 1,300 calories should be from carbohydrates. Fiber, 21 to 25 grams of fiber for women, 30 to 38 grams for a man. Protein, the recommended dietary allowance to prevent deficiency is 0.8 gram of body weight for protein. This was given the statistic from the Mayo Clinic. And then your sugar. You all know you can have a little bit of sugar, right? Yeah. Okay, so the American Heart Association suggests 100 calories for a woman, 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar. Men, 150 calories or 9 teaspoons or 36 grams of sugar. Cholesterol, that's not a good one for me, the cholesterol thing, but 200 milligrams if you at high risk for heart disease, or otherwise you're taking 300 milligrams, okay? And then saturated fat, 10% or less of your daily allowances. How does that sound, you all? You think that's doable to be able to kind of look at those things as we're shopping? Yay, nay?
I don't know,
Okay,
so there's 6 teaspoons of sugar?
that's what it said.
That's
So we also have to be smart about, our intake. I am a sugar head. I do eat way more than what I should. In fact, being part of sitting more, I have to work to get that off, but that's what the recommended says. Yeah, I said the same thing. So next slide, please. All right, so you all ready? Are you all strapped in and ready to see some fun and inviting foods made by myself? I have to say it was quite delicious. So let's let it roll. Next slide. So the 2 you see on here, the very top part of this slide is a salad that I made with a plant-based chicken, along with dairy-free cheese and cucumbers. And to the side is a mixture of veggies. And I took plain white rice and I added some turmeric seasoning into the water to change the color of it. And then I also have a plant-based burger on the side. Next slide. All right, this one here was this was a very yummy one. Another salad, had some nuts, has another plant-based meat on there. And to the very top part of this was a plant-based burger along with rice and corn. Next slide, please. And as you see, you can do soup, and I did a cheese sandwich. I did another salad, as you see up top, because I love salads. And to the right, that is a pizza that I made that has kale, tomatoes, and butter squash, and dairy-free cheese. Yummy. To the yummy, I added a little bit of crushed pepper on it to give me a little bit of spice. And I topped that on top of a flat bread to bake off. And oh my goodness, you all, it was yummy. I have to make that one again. Next slide, please. You all, I know you all are watering their mouth. You gotta be, because I am right now. Ooh, I have to step back because I forgot about I did that little tomato and cucumber. OMG. All you have to do is get those mixed tomatoes you see in the produce aisle. Get your little yellow, little orange, a little red, and I have a cucumber on it. And guess what, y'all? I topped it with some balsamic dressing, put a little bit of pepper on it, and as you see, that's where it came out. Woo! And then to the very top part, that is a plant-based, if you're familiar with Beyond Meat, that is their Italian sausage. Well, I'm using sausage, but it's plant-based. And I cooked some gluten-free pasta. I also steamed me some spinach, and then I dressed it up because I like appearance, and throw me some lemon on it. It's like, oh yeah, this is working for me. And then to your left, when you're looking for breakfast stuff, that is gluten-free waffles, along with, I did peaches and sausage, a plant-based sausage that went with that breakfast meal. Next slide, please. All right, I believe this is the last one. So those are regular French fries. For my protein, I did a lentil bean, and to the back of that is some sauteed veggies, which consist of kale and tomatoes. And then to the right is another version of a pizza that I made, which was dairy-free cheese, along with spinach, And that was it for that on flatbread. And those are fillers, you all. Once you kind of do those entrees, you don't really want anything else. Have a good glass of water, a good sugar-free kind of a drink. And that's all you need. Next slide, please. All right. Any questions? Or no, I'm sorry, we're going to turn it over to back to Miss Andrea.
Yes, and Robin, if anyone, thank you, Robin, for that wealth of information. I was a little bit shocked when she said 6 teaspoons of sugar. I'm sorry, I used maybe 3 in my tea already, so I'm done, almost done for the day. But does anyone, I mean, come off mute. Does anyone have any questions, any comments? Are you feeling a little anxious? Do you need some additional suggestions on how to plan? I saw someone put in the chat asking about couponing. So please come off mute and ask any questions you may have for Robin or myself as we go into this challenge.
If I may add one thing I felt to mention, it just came across my mind. So as we are shopping, and you were talking about receipts, if you are okay with downloading apps, there's an app called Fetch Rewards. So as you shop, you can scan your receipt with your phone, and you can add like points where you can get like gift cards to Target, to Amazon, to places like that, just all from shopping. Fetch Rewards is the name of the app.
Thank you. And so Sharice, I did it again. Member Sharice or Member Toya, were there any questions that came through the chat that we wanted to address or call out?
Well, there's a question about sharing the recipes.
Member Robin, do you have?
We'll have to, I guess, send this out because I can write them all out and tell you what I use, but I don't have them like right in my fingertips at the moment.
Okay.
We'll see what we can put together and see if we can email some of those out or some quick, or maybe at least what the major. Go ahead, sorry, Member Toya.
Yeah, so there was someone in the chat that asked, how does Robin fit in her exercise into her daily routine?
Very good question. I am a walker. In fact, I walk marathons. I was a participant in the Chicago Marathon last year. Will be in the Chicago Marathon again this year. If you know anything about pacing, I'm an average 12.5 minutes per mile that I walk. So I do an excessive amount of walking. I wear a Fitbit every day so I can stay in tone or in pace with the number of steps I'm doing each day.
Okay, there's a question in the chat about, does buying plant-based foods make it difficult to stay within the $65 budget?
It can, to a point. I actually go to Whole Foods personally, but I'm also an Amazon Prime member. If you are an Amazon Prime member, you can get some additional monies off of a sale item through Whole Foods. But just going into the mainstream stores, I would say no, because if you think, well, I'm vegetarian, so sorry. I have to think about if you're eating meats, that might vary. So that's where doing the homework of kind of seeing what the sales are based off of the stores that's close in the area which way you live will make a difference of how much you can stay within that cost parameter.
Hey, Robin, so someone else chimed in and said that they suggested purchasing dry beans and frozen beans to meet their $65 budget goal.
Yes, absolutely. I haven't personally done the dry beans. I have not done the frozen ones because I just like to get in the kitchen and just kind of create from scratch as much as possible in that regard. But yes, the frozen and the dry, absolutely.
There was something else. Someone in the chat wanted to know around how long does it take you to prepare your meals?
Very good question. I'm so glad they asked that. It take me between 15, maybe 20 minutes, because I'm simultaneously working on 2 different things. So if I'm doing a rice, I already have my water boiling going. Then I'll go and grab my entree of the meal, whether it's I'm doing crumbles to my veggies. I have my board out, got my knife. I'm cutting, I'm doing a couple of things at the same time. It's about 15 to 20 minutes. And then, yeah, and I'm ready to eat, because when I get home from work, I don't have hours to be in the kitchen. I need to get my food ready so I can eat.
There's a, Carolyn Hankins had her hand up. Carolyn, do you have a question?
It wasn't actually a question, but Robin is my cousin and we both do the walking. She does walk extremely fast. She's in all kind of marathons as well. And she and I are both vegetarians. And I became a vegetarian more or less because I had a mild stroke, and learning how to read the labels are very, very important. Is that will add so much more to your life. I know this from experience, and I lost 74 pounds within 11 months after I had a stroke because I decided to start reading my labels like the medical staff said, and I started walking. I walk every day. As a matter of fact, longer than my cousin does.
That is awesome. And I see Mary Stoddard has her hand up as well. Go ahead, Mary.
Yes, I had a quick question for the vegetarian. Do you take any supplements to get some of the nutrients that typically vegetarians are deficient in or low in?
I take supplements, but not to the degree, because the foods that I eat by intent, I am eating based off of what I should be taking in on each day. In some cases, I might go overboard. So I kind of consciously look at what in terms of when I'm shopping and the meals that I'm making. So I eat a lot of plant-based foods that have proteins and some of my essential vitamins and stuff in it. But I do take some supplements just to keep my immunity up, and I do a multivitamin.
Okay, very good. Because typically vegetarians may have B12 deficiencies and end up with pernicious anemia.
Yeah, I
And
take
so
that B12. So
You do take the B12, very
I
good.
do. Yes.
As a registered dietitian, we always encourage vegetarians to make sure they get those supplements that you typically will get in your meats, that are not plentiful in your vegetables.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
There's
before
another
we-
hand up from Cassandra.
And before we continue really quick, we just have to acknowledge that member Mary Stoddard is our International Risk Management Chairman. So we want to acknowledge her presence and attendance as well today. Thank you once again, Mary, for joining us, and great questions.
Thank you for having me. But as a registered dietitian, we always want to make sure everybody's eating properly, and being a vegetarian is actually good. It does help you maintain a status of health and being healthy for longer periods of time. We have seen that, and there's research and evidence to support that. So kudos to the vegetarian.
Okay, Member Toya, apologies on that. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying that Cassandra had her hand up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not a vegetarian, and I'm a carnivore. And I happen to notice on the slide with the scale for the cost, for our weekly cost. So the older we get, we're supposed to spend less money on food. I'm a little confused with that because I'm outside of I appreciate being classified as far as that range of up to 50. I'm a little bit outside of that. I'm more on the 18-year-old side, but that's okay. It's another story. So what recommendations can you give to us carnivores that we can do to stay within this $9.16 a day budget? Because if I'm looking at this correctly, $9.16, if I have a smoothie at Panera, that's already half of what I'm supposed to spend.
Member Rob, do you have any suggestions? And I would say maybe make the smoothie at home. That may help stretch that $4 or $5. You could probably buy, couple, maybe 1 or 2 days worth of fruit for your smoothie. Maybe your proteins, think about your proteins. Can you get multi-uses out of your proteins? If you buy, because I'm a carnivore myself, right? So anytime I see, chicken wings or thighs on sale, it's usually myself, my daughter's away at school. So I'll buy, not a family pack, but a larger pack, and I'll freeze, put them in individual baggies, like maybe 1 or 2 in a bag, so that I have a serving size. And so that also helps as well. But Member Robin, any suggestions for us carnivores?
Yeah, you are hitting the nail on the head, as they say. And I would say that this budget is probably not as friendly to purchasing out fast. It would seem to be that you would have to do more shopping than maybe you would normally do in order to be able to satisfy the budget dollars. But in terms of what you're saying, so if you're shopping, you can be able to buy that pound of meat or what have you, and all based on doing your homework in terms of sale, that will make that stretch a little bit further, that you'll be able to kind of meet within that cost parameter, is what I would say.
And as a reminder, the figures that we're giving you, for these next 6 days, this is what people have to live on throughout the year, right? So we're just doing a 1-week snapshot, but just think about people who don't have an option to say, do I give up my smoothie today or tomorrow, or, how do I stretch this money out, or do I have to plan? We have the flexibility. If you get halfway through and you go, you know what, this isn't for me, and you throw your hands up and you go back to your normal routine, right? We have that flexibility and that comfort level. So I want to encourage everyone to push themselves this week and plan your meals. Don't give up, because I want you to understand or have more empathy, I guess, for people who, don't have a choice. And this is what they have to use or have to manage to budget their food on a weekly basis. And if they have, 2 or 3 children and only 1 income, so the government says this is what they should have, they actually may have less. So if we we just ask everyone, maybe just make this slight sacrifice for the next 6 days, and then next Sunday you treat yourself, for my carnivores, to some, a New York strip and some potatoes and a fantastic salad with some Gorgonzola cheese on it. But at least for these next 6 days, let's try as much as we can to live within these restrictive means. And I saw there were a few other questions in the chat. I know someone made a comment. Aisa, Starbucks has a hold on me. I know the feeling. I actually started making my own green tea and chai tea lattes at home, although I do buy the Starbucks mix, and I mix it with oat milk. So for the cost of 1 green tea latte, I can make like 5 of those.
Mhm.
Those are just some small changes that I made. You can catch them, I think, $3.50 average, and then the oat milk may be another $3 as well. And I get my oat milk from Aldi. So you can still have your Starbucks, and then you don't have to wait in those long lines.
It looks like Maya Foster has a hand up.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My question is about time management throughout the week. Especially, I feel like all of us are working, and then one late night at work and it dismantles your whole plan for the week. So do you have any strategies for maybe planning ahead, like today going to the grocery store and planning for the week, or how do you time manage when you meal prep?
So what I normally do, so for example, I'm grocery shopping today. And so I have baseline foods that I eat through the course of the week. So I already know when I get up in the morning that I am going to put my plant-based sausage patty in on a stove, start that up, and I'm multitasking, because certainly you can't stand in the kitchen that entire time because you're getting ready so you can get out the door to go to work. So I kind of start, because I know what I'm going to eat, and I like oatmeal. So I kind of get that going in the kitchen, kind of time. I got a timer on my stove, so I know kind of go back when to check it while I'm in the midst of getting dressed. So I take lunch at work because I'm there during the course of the day. So I have my lunch ready and I eat at a certain time every day. For my meal at home, I already have in mind what I'm going to prepare when I get home. Sometimes I will chop up my veggies ahead of time. So if I want to saute them, all I got to do is when I come in the door, get my skillet out, spray it, oil, whatever I'm going to do, drop that in the skillet, get that going, as well as, and I'm going towards the freezer. I'm grabbing what I'm doing. If I'm doing a plant-based chicken patty, or if I'm doing whatever my plant-based entrees is, that's coming out and getting ready to go into a toaster oven. And then if I'm feeling like I want some French fries, because I'm a French fry head, I got an air fryer. So I got those going into the air fryer. I got my plant-based chicken patty and the toaster oven, and I got my stuffed sautés. So I got it all going. I'm done in 20 minutes and I'm eating in the next 5.
And remember, Toya, I know you're a food prep queen. Any suggestions or recommendations when you do your food prep?
So you know what? I'm glad you said that, Zandra, because I'm looking at the chat and quite a few people are saying meal prep. I absolutely love to meal prep because it just takes, the guess out of what am I going to eat. So like, for example, if I have to cook after I get off work, I already know I'm going to go stop at fast food because I don't feel like cooking after work, right? So then on Sundays, what I do is I'll probably make like 2 to 3 different types of meals and then just package them all up in their own containers. So all I have to do during the week is, pop it in the microwave. And so I have maybe like 2 or 3 varieties of what I can eat, right? And so it helps not only save time, it also saves money. And then it also, can help you lose weight because you know exactly what's in your food. Yeah. And then somebody else said something about Starbucks. I would recommend, so I have a Keurig, but I would recommend buying the Keurig cups so that it can cut down on the cost of going to Starbucks every day.
And,
And,
oh, go ahead. Sorry, Member Sharice, go ahead.
I'm sorry, there's a question in the chat that goes along with what we were talking about, saying eating fresh is difficult for me because the food goes bad very fast. Do you have any storage tips? So I think that goes along somewhat with some of this meal prep too. So do you have any storage tips to share with us?
So for me, yes, because I do eat a lot of produce. You do have to kind of dig into it sooner versus later. You can't just sit it in the refrigerator and think it's going to last forever, for sure. You can, in pre-prepping, you can cut like zucchinis and your squash and put them in freezer bags if you're not able to get to it in the next couple of days. So you cut the portion that you're going to use, but if you're not going to use it all up, put it in the freezer. They cook well, even when you take them out to go and prepare them. And then another thing is you can portion it out when you put it in the freezer so that you don't have to do that at the point of cooking. And that saves time, literally seconds. Is what I do because I do eat a lot of produce. So I'm very mindful of kind of the longevity of your lettuce, your tomatoes and stuff like that. I try to eat that as soon as I can. And if I can't, I will put in the freezer what I'm not able to do. Lettuce is a little challenging because that's a short-lived item. So at best, if you know you're gonna buy lettuce, you better eat that lettuce up in the next 3 days because otherwise this won't be good.
And my uncle gave me a tip.
Robin,
go ahead.
I was also going to say things like, so like, for example, bananas. I like bananas, but sometimes I purchase more than what I can really eat. So I've tried to be more conscious with that. If I see that they are going bad, what I would do is I'll chop them up, just like what Robin was saying, and put them in baggies so that I can have them for smoothies. Right. So I think that it's important to be realistic with yourself and say, good on well, doggone well, you're not gonna eat all them tomatoes. You know what I mean? So you can always freeze them and just be realistic.
And my uncle made a suggestion. He said, especially if you're going to freeze fruit, do not wash it first. Put it straight in your bag and then put it in the freezer, because we have a habit of washing our fruit and then we'll freeze it. He said, just put it straight in the freezer. Do not wash it or rinse it. And Donna has her hand up, and then Member Cassandra, do you still have a question as well? So we'll go in that order.
No, I don't.
Hi, this is Donna. So I have a suggestion with my fruits and veggies. It works like a gem. If you place a paper towel in the container or wherever you have it laying in the refrigerator, it works like a gem to absorb the moisture, and your fruits, your veggies, apples, everything, it just lasts so much longer with that paper towel in the container when you store it in the refrigerator.
Thank you for that. And looking in the chat, there are tons of tips. So everyone, thank you. I see crock pots are amazing. Yes, one pot meal, throw it in, put it on low, and when you come home, it's done. Overnight oatmeal. Keep apples in the keep apples separate in the fridge. They release gases that causes other produce to ripen faster. Good point. So thank you. Do we have any more questions? I know we're kind of coming to the end, and I love the conversation and I love the engagement. So thank you everyone for your participation and excitement.
So Zandria, there was another question about any advice for grocery shopping as a single female?
I try to go, because my daughter, like I said, my daughter's in college. I have learned that instead of making one big trip, I have to make multiple trips. Because I would shop for the week, and on Monday I wanted a salad. On Wednesday I didn't want the salad anymore, and so then my lettuce went to waste. Right, so I try to shop maybe every 2 to 3 days, and try to commit myself to the meals that I purchased for between those 2 and 3 days. So it requires you to go a little bit more frequently to the store, but I think in the end you save less and you waste less.
That's a good suggestion, Zandria. There's actually a few people in the chat saying the same thing. And then there's some others that are saying they don't buy in bulk. They just buy specifically what they're going to eat that week. And that's how I do it as well.
Yes. All right, guys. I think any more conversation before we move on? I know we have
the one last thing I wanted to bring up. There's a question about for those of us that travel for work, what are some, trips? I mean, what are some tips to help stay on budget?
You want me? You got
Robin, if you want to take that one, that's a good question.
It really is. I'll just say my part, and you could say what you're thinking. I hear that often of those who have to travel for work. So it becomes like a mindset deal, right? Because it's easy to go and pick up something quick. And so if that's your only option, have to pick up something quick, lean towards the more healthier spots. I would say like your Paneras or any other than your McDonald's or something like that. Always lean towards a salad if all possible. I'm talking about vegetarian stuff, but on the budget, and just, I guess you could say when you're traveling that way, and that I don't know, I'm trying to think, my thought just kind of lost me for a minute, because I'm talking more of a vegetarian perspective as opposed to those who are not. I always lean towards the healthier options like your Subways and things of that nature. When I'm out, I don't necessarily go to more of the fast food places just because I don't really eat that way. Go ahead, Zandria. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to add, when I travel, I actually have a collapsible water bottle, so that I don't have to buy the $4, $5, $6 water bottles in the airport. I'll just fill up my collapsible bottle at the water fountain. And then also I sometimes take some Kind bars with me to keep me from buying the chips when I pass by, the snack stores with the magazines. I'll just touch my Kind bar in my pocket and just know that is what I'm going to snack on. Yes. Any other tips from anyone that's joining, if you travel a lot and have any have any suggestions for frequent travelers?
I travel a lot, and one of the things that I make sure that I do is eat before you go. Because walking through the airport, you see something, you smell something, but if you've already eaten, or if you have taken your water bottle and you fill up your water bottle and drink, you tend to go past the snacks and past the little fast food restaurants that they typically have in the airport. And again, the suggestion that was just made about having your own snacks with you. That's one thing that I tend to do as well. Also have some dried fruit with me. And that's easy to carry and transport without any difficulty.
Thank you. Member Gwen, I see you have your hand up.
Gwen has her hand up.
Yes, thanks. So one thing that I do, I actually traveled recently, and I was forced not to buy anything at the airport because a bag of potato chips cost $5. So it is extremely too expensive. So, I mean, you will exceed your budget exorbitantly. So what I do is I pack my own snacks and I eat before I travel. I've even packed sandwiches on the flight. So I truly try to be as economical as possible, because if I'm going either for work or on vacation, I don't want to spend half of my money in the airport. And you can easily do that if you stop at Starbucks. It's $7, it's not $5. And now I discovered that a bag of Doritos costs $5 as well. So there are some things that you can do, but you just have to plan ahead. And someone had mentioned about how do you manage the time management. One thing that I focused on this year is I actually bought a book on time management, and I also bought a planner. So every day, every morning when I get up, I write down everything that I need to do. And I include if I have to grocery shop, if I have to meal plan and make my budget. And it really does help. So that's just a few tips from me.
Perfect. Thank you, Member Gwen. And we're almost right at the top of the hour. So just to recap, you have your budget. Robin has given us information on how to plan your meals. We've had this great conversation and discussion, and now it's time to execute. So starting tomorrow, Monday through Saturday, you have your budget. I'm wishing everyone success on that. Once again, please, I know it's going to be hard. This is not easy. This is definitely not an easy challenge, but I think at the end, you will feel rewarded and you will feel a sense of accomplishment knowing that, some of the things that we may feel are, necessities are actually those nice to haves, right? And we can still do well without, or we can make some of those substitutions. And I think we've covered pretty much all of our questions. So before we end today, we got two things. So if you scan this QR code, this is the registration link for our recap call next Sunday, same time, same back channel at 2 p.m. So scan that with your phone's photo camera. Click the link and you'll be able to register right away for that. And then now we just have a quick poll because I know everyone is so excited to start this challenge. So now that you have all the information for this exercise, how successful do you think you will be? I want to give it like maybe 30 seconds for everyone to chime in here. I'm loving to see all these responses coming through.
The poll just disappeared for me.
Oh no.
Can you relaunch the poll? It disappeared.
Did it? Oh no.
Okay, it's back now.
Is
Thank
it back? Oh, that's weird. I apologize for that. That is very weird.
I apologize. I hit the wrong button. I launched it again. Please forgive me.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Member Gwen. All right. See, give it a second. See, maybe count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So the results we have, 55% of you are hesitant, and I appreciate the honesty, right? We want to go on this with open eyes. 40% of you are confident, and I love those numbers. And I'm actually really glad to only see 4% of you are doubtful. And I challenge that 4% to just give it that extra push and give it that extra college try, because I know if you commit to it, maybe your reward next Sunday is that Starbucks coffee. You can get a venti with oat milk and whipped cream and some caramel and some chocolate shavings on top as your reward. So once again, thank you all for joining us. We have some remarks from our Vice President. And then after that is done, once again, scan the QR code, and we thank you all for joining.
Greetings, I am Tasha Smith, Vice President of Chi Omega Omega Chapter and the Imani Pearls Community Development Foundation. On behalf of the program Target Sharing and the entire committee, we would like to thank you for your participation in this impactful event, and we truly hope that you were empowered. Chi Omega Omega Chapter and the Imani Pearls Community Development Foundation takes pride in providing quality programs in the communities we serve, in the areas of education, women's health care and wellness, financial literacy, the arts, and global impact. For future programs, please visit our website at chiomegaomega.org or ipcdf.org. Thanks and have a good day.
All right, everyone, once again, thank you so much for joining us. We wish everyone much success in this week challenge, in this experiment, and we want everybody to come back next Sunday and be prepared, because we're going to share some of our learning, some of our insights, some tips and tricks that we may have discovered along the way. We're also going to hear from a social worker to kind of talk about some of the effects that, those that live in poverty and have these daily stressors, what effect that will have on them, on their mental and physical well-being. And then we'll also have a financial planner available to talk to you about. So now that you've saved all this money, now you have an extra $150 a week because you lived on this budget and you may make some additional changes. What can you do with those funds going forward to kind of increase and multiply those savings and maybe redirect those in another area? So once again, thank you all so much for joining and have a great afternoon.